And I guess I'm just bringing that up to kind of where my eyeball is. Okay, let's put the pencil down. Ooh, I am stressed. Okay, first question is, what do you think of my new light? Is this one better? Is this one more aesthetically pleasing? Is this one easier on your eyes? Let me know down below. Also as well, let's just ignore the nails today. I need to redo them desperately, but do I have time to do that before I film this video? No. Hey guys, welcome back. So today, I thought I'd sit down and do a video of techniques that I have learned from professional makeup artists that I've actually now incorporated into my makeup routine and actually work for me. Over the past couple of years, I've had my makeup done quite a few times by professional makeup artists. I've also been to a couple of masterclasses. I've done one with Sir John, who is Beyonce's makeup artist. I actually did a video about that back when I did that makeup masterclass. I was lucky enough to be invited. A couple of weeks back as well, I took part in a Zoom masterclass with Bare Minerals and Katie Hughes, I think her name is. Katie Jane Hughes, who I think is Hailey Bieber's makeup artist, because she was talking about her in this Zoom and I was kind of like, how was she just casually talking about Hailey Bieber? And then I looked her up on Instagram afterwards and she's a celebrity makeup artist. And then also as well recently I've started watching more professional makeup artists on YouTube, in particular Robert Welsh. I've spoken about him about 5 times recently on my channel because I'm just obsessed with his videos. So kind of combining my knowledge of all of those things, I thought I would show you guys what has actually worked for me. Because if you haven't caught on already, I'm not a professional makeup artist. I kind of just go with what works for me. And yes, I don't always use these techniques. I do sometimes revert back to my old ways because I'm lazy and I get stuck in a routine. However, I think a lot of these tips are really good and I think you guys might find them helpful. You probably know half this stuff already, but I thought I would just show you what everything looks like on my face. Like I said, I am not a professional, so please go and check out all the people that I just mentioned. I will leave them linked down below. Right, let's just get into it. So the first tip is kind of skincare that I've learned from professionals, and that is to always wear SPF, a high SPF on your face, on your neck, basically anywhere, because first of all, if you don't want a wrinkle, wearing an SPF is pretty much like the only way to prevent wrinkles. And I am slowly creeping up through my 20s now, and you start to obviously get more fine lines and wrinkles and stuff the older that you get. But if you want to prevent getting wrinkles, wearing an SPF is super important. And I also bring it down my neck. I've got quite a few that I like using. This one is the Body Shop Skin Defense Multi Protection Lotion SPF 50+. I used to like the number 7 one, but that one is a bit thicker and a bit more oily, so maybe that would be better suited if you have drier skin. Because if you're new here, my skin type is oily. We all know this on my channel. There's lots of options out there. I would encourage you to do your research, but I would also very much encourage you to wear an SPF on your face, even if you're living in England and even if you're sitting inside, because the UV rays can still come through the window. And a high SPF as well. SPF 15 I don't really think does a whole lot. Oh, and on my skin before this, I haven't gone too crazy with my skincare products. Another tip that I have learned, which is from Robert, is to not do excessive amounts of skincare underneath your makeup if you want your makeup to last a long time, because if you're putting loads of oils and heavy creams on your face and stuff before you do your foundation, obviously it's going to slip around a lot more. So I know that on Instagram it's quite a big trend to have tons of like oily skincare products all over your face and then go in with your foundation, which it might work for some people. Maybe if you have really dry skin, that might be totally fine. But I find that for me personally, I try to limit the amount of skincare that I wear under my makeup. So I have just got a hyaluronic acid based serum on my skin and a little bit of a vitamin C serum. Then I've done my SPF and then I move on to my makeup. So the next step is to do your eyes first, which is something that I actually never do. However, the times that I have done this, it has been a lot easier to clear up any mess that comes down onto your face. I think this one is very well known, and pretty much every single time that I've had my makeup done professionally, they will start with the eyes and then go onto the skin. A lot of the times though, they'll put like a moisturizer or a primer on my skin before they start doing my eyes, I think just so that it has time to sink in. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm using the Milk Hydro Grip primer. Also as well, I'm not saying that any of this stuff you have to follow, like do whatever the hell you want, to be honest. It's your face, but I'm just saying that these are some tips that I have found have been quite helpful actually. Oh, and I'm sure that there's loads of things that I will be missing in this video, and probably things that I will do wrong, and tips that I haven't picked up clearly. So something that I've learned from my eyes, which I definitely did learn from Robert and also from other makeup artists as well, I just never really bothered with eye primer because I thought, oh, concealer would just do the same thing, right? Right? No, wrong. So from watching Robert's videos, I've definitely picked up that concealers tend to be more oily on your eyes because they're not kind of designed to stick and grip throughout the day. It can kind of just make your eyeshadow not last as long and smudge a bit. So it's best to go in with an actual formulated eye primer. So I'm using the Makeup Revolution Cut Crease canvas, and I'm just gonna paint a little bit on, and then I'm just gonna blend this over my lid with a brush. I do definitely need some sort of eye primer that has a bit of coverage in it because my eyelids are quite veiny. Oh wow, I really need to pluck my eyebrows. I'm also just bringing a tiny bit of that down just onto my lower lash line as well. And then that is what you want to do to prep your eyes. Do not set it. That's what I always used to do. I would put down a thick layer of concealer, set it with a thick layer of powder, and then do my eyeshadow. And then I would sometimes wonder why my eyeshadow wasn't blending properly. And then when it actually comes to doing your eyeshadow, another tip that I've learned, which every single makeup artist that I've had does, they hold the brush so gently. I think in the past, like, I can be quite a firm gripper. But obviously, like, if you're holding the brush all the way down here, you're really kind of getting in there and probably being quite heavy on your eyes. Every makeup artist that I've ever seen will hold the brush like back here and just be very gentle, super gentle, and just do soft little motions. I'm taking the, what is this? XX Revolution XX Exposed. And I'm gonna take this matte shade first, just tapping off the excess. And then I'm just gonna start on my outer corner, like right in my crease here, just with very gentle sort of circular motions to lay down some of that colour. And then I'm actually just gonna slowly start to sort of wing that out. And then the same on the other eye. So next I'm dipping into the slightly darker matte brown, and I'm taking a slightly smaller blending brush, and I'm just gonna focus this on my outer corners. So another tip that I would say with eyeshadow is to try and not just pack on a ton of colour all in one go. It's definitely easier to work your way up and build your way up slowly rather than just whacking on a ton of pigment and then trying to blend it out. So I'm just gonna lay down this darker colour kind of where I want it and like mapping it out with the smaller brush. And then I'm going back in with my blending brush and I'm just gonna kind of gently blend that out. And I know that I'm probably doing stuff wrong here. I'm probably making mistakes, but I'm trying, okay? And then by doing your eyeshadow first, if you make any sort of like massive mess over here, you can then clean it up with a baby wipe or with your concealer. Okay, then when it comes to the shimmer that's in this palette, I'm just gonna put this on the first half of my eyelid. I have not learned this technique from anyone. And oh my gosh, okay, wow, that is quite a flaky gold. Yep, and that is falling all over my face. I'm not going to teach you anything about the shimmer eyeshadows because I honestly don't know. I just kind of whack it on with a flat brush and hope for the best. I also don't take it all the way across my eyelid. I usually just do it kind of along the first half because I personally don't really like a shimmery outer corner. And I guess I'm just bringing that up to kind of where my eyeball is. Then I'm actually going to do my inner corners later. Then when it comes to eyeliner, every time I've got my makeup done professionally, they always use a pencil liner rather than a liquid liner. And I know that that is because you can easily sharpen it, so they're a lot easier to sanitize if they're using it on loads of different clients. I find that a lot of them actually tend to prefer pencil because it's kind of more malleable, like you can move it around with a brush, you can smoke it out. You know, it's a bit more of a multitasker rather than a liquid liner, which is just going to do a kind of solid straight line. I never usually use pencil liner to do any sort of wing, and I'm always mesmerized every time somebody does a wing with a pencil, but I'm going to give it a try. This is the LA Girl Glide Gel Liner. So I'm just gonna run this pretty close to my lashes. Then I'm taking a angled brush. I'm just gonna try and smoke that out a bit. Another thing that I find really helpful when I'm doing my eyeliner, I know that I have not done this very well, but to get the right sort of shape, I look straight into a mirror. Instead of looking like down or up, I try and look straight ahead so that I can see what the liner looks like when my eyes are open. But I think I have like drooped this down a bit too much. So I did just completely f that up. I'm just gonna take a makeup wipe and just clean her up a little bit. I guess it's a practice thing, doing your eyeliner with a pencil rather than a liquid, which is what I'm used to. Okay, let's put the pencil down. So when it comes to the skin, obviously I've already got my primer done. There's a couple of different ways that I've seen makeup artists prep the skin. A lot of makeup artists that I've had have gone in with some kind of hydrating mist before they do my foundation. And I know that when I was at the Sir John masterclass, he was talking about how he applies a moisturizer or sort of like primer onto the skin and then puts the foundation directly on top while it's still wet, which I found really interesting. And he was keen on like the sprays and stuff as well. Loads of makeup artists I've seen use this one, which is the Amora Vixa mist, because it's such a fine spray. I think it's just to kind of rehydrate the skin, but I don't really know what else that it does. I think for me, I'd probably go in with a setting spray rather than a sort of dewy spray, just to lock my oils in a bit more. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury one from the other day, which for Charlotte Tilbury, I really thought it would have like a nicer mist, but whatever. Oh, my fan just ran out of battery. So something that I used to do, then I stopped doing forever because I discovered beauty blenders, but now I've kind of gone back to doing is using a brush to do my foundation rather than a beauty blender. I still use a beauty blender loads and I often use it for my concealer, but every single time I've had my makeup done, they have never used a sponge on my face. I guess that's for hygiene reasons, because again, if you're having like loads of different clients, you need to wash your brushes, and washing a brush is easier than washing a sponge that just like sucks up all the disgusting stuff. A lot of the time I find that they've used like a sort of stippling brush and just very lightly sort of buffed the foundation into my skin. I personally prefer a bit of like a denser buffing brush for doing my foundation. But yeah, I've really been enjoying using brushes recently. I don't know what happened and why I suddenly forgot the brushes exist, but they do work out pretty nice. I think I am going to use this one, which is the Real Techniques 200 brush. Also, I personally have never had a makeup artist that has gone in with a full coverage foundation. They always tend to go for a much lighter coverage, much less product. So I'm using my L'Oreal True Match. I'm mixing the shades 2N and 4N. And what Katie Hughes did on the Bare Minerals masterclass is every time she went in with a product on her face, she would put it on her hand first and really work it into the brush instead of just slapping it onto her face. But I do find that that way you kind of lose like half the product into your hand. Then for concealer, again, what she did is she put some on the back of her hand. She really worked it into the brush, and then she just went in under her eyes and put the concealer just in places where she needs it. And I know that with Robert's technique, he doesn't put the giant triangle of concealer under his eyes. He just usually does like a blob on his inner corner bit kind of here, and then he puts some over here. And I know that Robert likes to pat his in with his finger, or sometimes he will use a brush. But I also find that doing this sort of technique, and I do this actually a lot on days where I'm just having like a minimal makeup day and I don't want it to look too heavy, just that small amount of concealer that I'd like worked into the brush and then applying it, it works really nicely, and I think that that's given me more than enough coverage. And then obviously I go in on any areas of redness where I just need a little bit of extra coverage. This particular concealer kind of matches my skin tone, so I can just about get away with it on my blemishes. Then when it comes to powdering your face and like powdering your under eyes and stuff, something that Sir John said is to use a looser, finer powder under your eyes because it's not as thick as a pressed powder. A lot of the time though, I do use a loose powder for my whole entire face because otherwise it just gets really oily. But another tip for this, use a little small brush under your eyes. I've just taken a little bit of powder on my brush and I'm just going to really set in that under eye so that it doesn't crease, because I do get quite creasy under my eyes. But again, every single makeup artist in Sir John's masterclass, he said do not bake. I know that Robert hates baking. I know that every single makeup artist that I've been to and has done my face has never baked my face or caked on powder at all. And I personally agree. I have tried it, I've just never got on with it. I just find that it makes my under eyes feel so dry and they just look so wrinkly and just horrible. Again, every makeup artist that I've been to seems to love the use of cream products. I'm not a massive cream product lover, but every time I get my makeup done, they seem to use a ton of cream products on my face. And a lot of the time they will go in with a stippling brush or something, or a slightly more sparse brush rather than a super dense one. So I'm taking the Fenty Cream Contour in Butter Biscuit. This one is slightly cooler toned than what I normally go for. I know that to some people this would probably be a bronzer, but I do like quite a warm toned face. So I'm just taking a little bit of this on my brush, and again, like not holding the brush too densely, I'm just gonna add like a little layer of this onto my skin. I always find that they build it up in layers rather than just like taking a chunk on their brush and then going straight in with it. I'm also doing a little bit around my jaw, but not too much, I think is the most important thing. And again, I'm taking my cream blush. Probably should get a different brush, but this is the only stippling brush that I've got. Oh, I've also had a lot of makeup artists kind of use their fingers and do like this sort of tapping motion on my face, which blends stuff quite nicely. I think a stippling brush also works quite well. And then I'm gonna go in with a bit more powder just to set the rest of my face, because even though I love this sort of like glowy, dewy look, if I leave my face like this, it will disappear in about 2 hours. We'll finish the face off in a sec. I'm just gonna do my eyebrows, and I'm using my trusty Benefit products. I'm using the Precisely My Brow Pencil in 3.5, the 24-hour brow setter, and also a bit of the 3D brow tones in the shade 4. This one is kind of like a tinted brow gel that's got a tiny bit of a sheen to it, so it makes my brows look extra kind of 3D and fluffy. I am one of Benefit's brow heroes at the moment, which basically kind of means that I'm a bit of an ambassador. So this little brow segment of the video is very kindly sponsored by Benefit, but as you guys know, I've spoken about these so many times on my channel. I just personally find that they work really well for my eyebrows. I love the formula of this pencil in particular, the Precisely My Brow. It does come with a spoolie on the end as well. I will leave these down below if any of you guys are interested. So what I like to do with my brows is just map out first very lightly underneath. I kind of map out the shape that I want to do, but I don't press hard at all because I don't want to go for that blocky eyebrow. And then I fill in the tails a little bit fuller. I kind of work my way backwards, so I start at the tail of my brow and make this the fullest sort of part. And then as I get to the front of my brow, I just very gently do some brow strokes at the front. Then I'm going in with a bit of the 3D brow tones just to add a little bit more colour and make them look a little bit more fluffy. And then I'm just going in with the brow setter to keep them in place, and I really kind of whack this on. So when it comes to powder products on my face, I personally like a bit more than just the cream products that I've got on underneath my powder. So I'm taking my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer and this slightly tapered brush. This is quite a big one actually. I normally use a brush like this, but this one is so dirty that I was kind of embarrassed to put it on camera, but I'm doing it now. So I'm just adding a little bit more colour to my cheeks and just a little bit on my forehead. I guess the thing that I've learned the most is that makeup artists don't tend to use super dense brushes for any sort of powder products or products in general. So I'm just taking a little bit more blush, which I probably don't need, but I do love blush. Oh my god, and for my skinny dip shoot, I had such a lovely makeup artist called Jess, and I was saying to her like, can I just contour my nose a little bit? And she was like, you don't need to contour your nose, but we will add a little bit if you want to. Instead of going in with a super dense brush like I did, I'm pretty sure she just went in with like a really fluffy sort of eyeshadow brush and just did a little bit of contouring. So that's what I'm gonna do. I just personally feel a bit more comfortable with a contoured nose. For highlight, something that I've learned from a lot of makeup artists is that sometimes less is more. I personally love having a super blinding highlight kind of all over my cheekbones, but something that I've learned from Robert is to just go in with highlighter where the light naturally hits your face. So if you look into a mirror and kind of move your face around, the light definitely hits me kind of here, but I'm not going to bring it too far down onto my cheeks. I would normally go more kind of this way, but the light is hitting me more like down like that. There is a bit of light hitting me on my forehead, but I don't want to put any there because I know that in a couple of hours time I will look like an oil slick. I'm just going to add a little bit to my brow bone and my horrendously unplucked wild eyebrows. Also just a little bit on the inner corners of my eyes, and then I'm going to add a little bit on my nose because I just love a little nose glow. So I've got to finish off my I don't even want to move because I've just picked up this eyeshadow palette that I was using a minute ago, and the gold shade in here has completely shattered. It's gone into my lap, all over my pale pink dressing gown that I'm sitting on, and if I stand up, it's about to go all over the cream carpet that is below me. Ooh, I am stressed. Is this a sick joke? I've just knocked all my eyeshadow brushes upside down onto the floor. I'm actually so done with myself. Like, I'm so done with myself. I cannot deal with being this clumsy. I can't do it. These are the only eyeshadow brushes I've got left in my pot. You know what? I can't even be asked. I'm just gonna use one of these and be done with it. So I'm just gonna take the same shades that I put onto my eyelid, the matte shades, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of this on my lower lash line, and I'm just gonna scream internally while I finish this video. I'm actually not going to use fake eyelashes today just because I've used them a lot recently in videos and I kind of want to give it a break. But for mascara, something that I find helps so much is to look down into a mirror instead of looking straight ahead. Like, I find then my lashes really touch onto my skin and I get messy everywhere. To be honest, I still do kind of get mascara all over my eyelids most of the time anyway. But looking down to a mirror and really wiggling that mascara at your root. Don't just do this. You want to wiggle it. So I'm really like taking the time to wiggle that and get all that mascara into the roots of my lashes. Sorry, James just got home. So I wiggle and then kind of drag up through, all the way around, all the way up to my inner corners. And that way I just find it gives a lot more volume than if you're to just like gently brush it through your lashes. I'm quite aggressive with my eyelashes, to be honest. I'm quite vigorous with my wiggling. This is the L'Oreal Paradise mascara, by the way, the Lash Paradise. So I wiggle, then drag through, and sometimes I will go back down and then back up again. But I do love quite a thick, clumpy lash. I know that my lashes are not for everyone. This isn't a makeup artist trick, this is a me trick. Then finally for the lips, I noticed that every single time I've got my makeup done, at the very beginning, they will moisturize my face and they will moisturize my lips. So they will put on like quite a heavy lip balm on my lips, but then when it comes to actually doing my lipstick, I always find that I get a foundation on my lips, but putting that lip balm on before you start doing your makeup, it gives it time to, you know, absorb into your lips. I probably should have mentioned that I did that off camera before I started filming. But I'm taking a lip liner. This is the Bare Minerals Gen Nude lip liner in On Point. I never used to use the lip liner because I didn't think it was necessary, and also I used to be terrible at applying it. My lips are naturally kind of like lopsided, but I've definitely found that my lips look a lot more polished and a lot neater since using a lip liner. Then finally I'm going in with the Fenty Beauty Slip Shine lipstick in 05 Glazed. These are so gorgeous. And then the final step, I'm going to go in with a bit of the Fenty Beauty setting spray, just because this one's got a really nice fine mist. Oh, like literally the finest mist I've ever seen in a setting spray. So this is my finished face. Let me just turn the brightness down so you can see a bit more of my skin texture. Hopefully that is a bit better and you can kind of see. Okay, obviously my face is looking extra glowy because I'm now stood right up against my lights, but this is how everything turned out. I think it turned out quite nice. So it's definitely different techniques to how I would regularly do my makeup, but I think the overall outcome looks really nice. My skin especially looks really flawless, I think. So I am now just gonna answer a question of the day. If you guys have got any questions for me, literally about anything, leave them down below with the hashtag question of the day. Today's question comes from Jen Stasi, and well, she left me a really sweet comment first of all. She said, love how you're now playing with so much more colour. The pastel shades look amazing on you. I'd love to see you experimenting with different looks with pastel and bright shades. Thank you. And then her question is there anything that you wish you had done differently about buying or moving into your first home? Love you so. You know, I don't really think there's anything that I would have done differently when moving in. I'm just trying to think if there's anything that I think could have gone better. I guess one thing that I wish that I'd done is ordered the furniture months sooner, because a lot of the better quality furniture and like bigger pieces of furniture can take months to be delivered. However, at the same time, I didn't know when I was going to be moving in until like a week before they suddenly phoned me and were like, can you collect the keys next week? So I guess that wasn't really down to me, but yeah, furniture takes a long time to be delivered. I guess I don't really think that there's anything that I would have done differently, to be honest. I think I was quite prepared in terms of that I'd been starting to like pack and think about stuff that I needed for a while beforehand because I thought it was going to happen a lot sooner. Right, I'm going to leave this here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know. It would be great to know any video ideas that you guys have. But I hope you're all doing well and I will see you in my next video. Bye!